Let's bring it back home now. Traffic volumes are expected to increase on major roads across the country today. This as many people will be heading to various destinations for the long weekend, which coincides with the start of the holidays for inland schools. The N3 from Gauteng to KwaZulu-Natal is one of those routes which are expected to be heavily congested. So let's find out more from N3 Toll Concessions Operations Manager Thania Dhoogra. Thania, good morning to you. Always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time. We have to have this conversation because as of today, we're expecting traffic to be heading to KwaZulu-Natal. Take me through some of the plans you have to ensure that it is a seamless travel for those who are driving there.
Hi, good morning, Tumelo, and good morning as always to all your viewers. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. The N3 has been gearing up, and obviously it's an ongoing activity for us, but particularly ahead of, well, as you say, the long weekend and school holidays. We've been preparing with all of our stakeholders, engaging with law enforcement, all of the necessary emergency services on the route, our own route patrol services, as well as our technical teams and our operator. The N3 is fully open to traffic, with the exception of some minor areas where there are some construction activities that are being conducted, but it's short closures and shouldn't cause major disruption to any road users.
In terms of those roadworks, do we know at what time we should expect them to be concluded, to be finished, and all work done on the road?
Well, unfortunately, all of the work can't be removed from the roadway, especially in some areas like in the Lions River and Harwick area, for example. But there, the works will be conducted in the northbound direction towards Johannesburg, so hopefully against the peak flow of traffic. And also it will be on the slow lane and the shoulder, so it again should not impact traffic significantly. And where there are other closures necessary, there will be very short closures and should be in the shoulder for most part.
All right. We've been seeing some wet conditions, throughout, parts of Gauteng. And I'm just wondering, for those who are planning their trip this morning, will that pose a burden to motorists planning on, traveling to KZN today?
Yeah, well, the South African Weather Service has been forecasting that we should expect wet weather, and there are scattered thunder showers and, thunderstorms that are expected along the route. And so, yes, that can contribute to difficult driving conditions. And as always, we would remind road users that they must please adjust their driving style to the prevailing conditions. That would typically involve reducing their speed, turning on their headlights and increasing their following distances. And always please check your blind spots, especially when in reduced visibility, and it's extremely difficult to see other vehicles on the road.
Yeah, and patience, right, Thania, because we know that usually when one is traveling long distance, they tend to be impatient driving on the yellow lane. So at this time, patience is advised as well. So what time do you then expect traffic to at least begin? When can we expect to see more and more travelers taking to the roads?
We're expecting that we should see an increase in traffic from about 9 o'clock this morning, but I think that it should be our forecast, it will be really busy from around 12 o'clock this afternoon and head into the early hours of this evening.
Yeah. And also coming back, we just mentioned that some schools will be closed. How are you anticipating traffic to look like when, of course, travelers make their way back to Gauteng?
Well, our expectation is that Monday will be fairly busy as well. Not, the end of a typical long weekend where everyone who has traveled will return home because of the school holidays, as you say, but we are still expecting that it will be busy on the road. So just again, reminding road users, please follow us on Twitter at N3 Route or contact our 24-hour N3 helpline on 0800 634357 so that they can keep updated about the latest news about what's happening on the road. And that will include travel conditions and traffic.
Yeah. Absolutely. We always talk about road safety. We always talk about how one, fatality is one too many on the road. Any advice you would like to give to, our drivers and travelers, I suppose, this morning in terms of how to keep fresh and focused on the road, particularly if you're driving long distance this coming long weekend?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, the first thing is please be patient on the road. Remember that you're not the only driver out there. It's important to share the road responsibly. Other important tips are to stop regularly. It's important that drivers are well rested so that they can be vigilant and alert, and especially when driving conditions are difficult or exacerbated by the weather. Also, to remember not to drive distracted. Rather leave the texting and driving, to your passengers in the vehicles with you, and ensure that you keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the steering wheel.
Absolutely. Well, Thania, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thania Dhoogra, of course, joining us this morning from the N3 Toll Concession, giving sound advice just in terms of what to expect and also driver behaviour this coming long weekend, which actually begins today. So make sure you are safe on the road. You do arrive alive and adhere to all rules and road policies when it goes to, of course, driving and keeping yourself safe. But just to remember that there will be law enforcement as well on the road, ensuring that there is, of course, smooth and flowing traffic between Gauteng and KZN.